So I'm gonna have to go negative again, huh? Well, I'm ready for it. So I did my list on my favorite and most hated final bosses I've dealt with, but now it's time to go into the regular boss fight category. Now, based on how I'm planning this out, here are a few rules. I'm only picking boss fights that I really don't like, wasn't a huge fan because they're poorly designed, how tough they are to be cheap, how unfair they are, and just how stupid some of them are. These are bosses that I have faced, and I have played from these certain games. There's only going to be one final boss added on the list because I hate that one so much, because trust me, if I just did more final bosses, the list would go stale. And that would get pretty boring. So without further ado, let's jump right into the action. Well, it's time for Bully. This is one of my favorite games ever made. I really love this game. The bosses in this game are alright for the most part. However, there is one that just sucks. Ted. Now, before you start hating on me and crucifying me, let me just state out the positives. For one, I love the build-up. The chapter itself is really good, the atmosphere, the music, everything about it is just great. 8. And the challenging part is trying to fend off all the football players with explosive footballs, I don't know why. Anyway, you confront Ted in an epic showdown. That's it? All this build-up and he takes one punch just to go down. Jeez, all the other bosses put up more of a fight than this guy. Seriously? That's all it takes? Kind of a disappointment, don't you think? And it doesn't help that Ted is one of the blandest characters in this game. His buddy Damon over here is actually more imposing, had more screen time, and actually soak up all those explosive soccer balls like it's nothing. But nope, this guy just goes down in one punch. How sad. So let's start this list with one of the most pointless fights in the world. Can someone please tell me why they count as bosses in this game? Yes, they count as a boss fight. The game counts them, so guess what? I'm counting them. Robot Carnival and Robot Storm are nothing but enemy rushes. Enemy gauntlets that you're just facing waves and waves of robots. Very, very boring and slow. It's just annoying to deal with some of these enemies because they change up depending on the certain teams you play as, and these fights just feel like filler. I really like Sonic Heroes. Eggman has given us the Egg Albatross and the Egg Hawk, which are really good boss fights. I was expecting an Eggman machine based off of these things. But nope, you just get enemy gauntlets. Yawn. Eggman, next time you come face me, make sure to bring a machine that actually poses a challenge, not filler.
Don't get too excited, boys! Those were the easy ones!
So it's time for me to talk about one of my most favorite games, Star Wars The Force Unleashed. I love this game so much, and its roster of bosses are really, really good. But just like with any other game, because it has a really good roster of bosses, there's gonna be one that sucks. Example, the Star Destroyer. Oh boy, where do I begin? Well, I'll summarize this fight in one sentence. It's boring. All you do is just pull the ship closer to the planet very slowly. Very slowly. This is taking forever! Seriously, this is all you do. It's like a really boring quick time event. You're just pulling the ship very, very slowly. This is dull. And after pulling it down a few more times, TIE fighters come in to make the fight even more annoying rather than exciting. And while you're focusing on getting rid of those TIE fighters, which they will keep respawning because they feel like it, the Star Destroyer will go back into its position, forcing you to do the tedious process again. This footage is sped up because this is a really boring and lazy fight. This is all you really do. I had a hard time deciding whether this even counts as a boss. But since it's the only thing that you do once in the game, and the game counts as a boss, it counts. So it's getting added on here, because it sucks. Oh boy, it's time to talk about Crash Bandicoot. Bosses in the series tend to be a mixed bag. You'll get some really unique and fun ones, but then again you'll get duds, ones that just suck. So how about Wrath of Cortex? This boss is trash. Really? This fight sucks. Let's take a gimmick that worked out for levels very well and use it for a boss fight. Oh gee, what does that remind you of? And what do you do in this fight? Rolling around at the speed of sound, hitting boulders and making it rain. Going around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow these rocks. Gonna keep going, hitting them all. What's my reward for beating this boss? Sneak shoes. We can sneak on nitro crates. Yeah, great reward. That's just fantastic. And let me clarify, this is the first real boss of the game. And it doesn't bring out a good impression to the other bosses that you'll encounter later in the game. Yeah, not a great start if you think about it. Speaking of roster of bosses, Spyro 1. As much as I really enjoyed the game even with the Reunited trilogy, the bosses suck. All of them are horrible. They're just big guys that you just hit once, then they just run away. That's it. You chase him down, hit him again, chase him down, oh he's dead. They barely even feel like bosses, they just feel like a big enemy that just exists and then just disappear, never to be seen again. Even the final boss is like this, although Nasty Noik is not getting added on the list, but he still counts as part of the full collection, since this is all the bosses do. There's no gimmick, there's nothing special about them, they barely feel like a challenge. In fact, going through all the levels and dealing with the enemies is much more of a challenge than beating any of these bosses. They just suck. They barely feel like a boss, and I don't know why they're here. At least later titles give us actual boss fights. I'm just done talking about them. Maybe someday we'll probably get a Spyro game that actually give us good boss fights. Who knows? You know, it's a good idea to start off your game very simple, so that way you can get your players adjusted to what you'll have to deal with later on in the game. Challenge picks up later on, so you can prepare yourself, but usually that would be the case. But it's not for Mega Man 01. Great, time to talk about the game aim in a negative list. Aztec Falcon. This boss blows. This guy nearly made me rage quit the game and give up the series entirely. Seriously, this is not how you do a boss fight. This guy's moving around with all of his lightning attacks. You got a time limit to worry about. And he can block your shots and you have to get close in on him with his saber. Yeah, fast moving target with your C-Saber, not a great start if you ask me. Usually I wouldn't mind this kind of challenge because it seems like a later boss. But just like with Crunch, he is the first legit boss of the game. Seriously, I have to deal with this grinding crap, now I gotta deal with a boss this difficult. And I was trying to get used to the game. Seriously, this is not how you start a game with this atrocious boss. Seriously, if I hadn't tried to get used to the game's controls, I would have given up and never got a chance to fight Dr. Wile in his epic boss battle. Not a great start to the series, if you ask me. Oh boy, look, we have another group roster of bosses, and it's from Far Cry 3. I hate these encounters. They're all nothing but quick time event encounters. Seriously, they're just there. They exist as padding, filler, nothing else. Just QTE against the guy, press buttons. Sounds like fun, right? No, it doesn't. QTEs don't really work, especially for bosses in video games. Especially since this is a first-person shooter game. You got the first one, yawn. Then we have our encounter with the main antagonist, Voss, which is really one of the most lackluster things in the game. Yeah, music's good, but you just shoot down clones of him charging at you, which is just lame. Then you come up to the guy and you don't even get to finish him. The game just kills him for you. Seriously, what's the point? Oh, and to add insult to this guy, he's not even the final boss. Nah, it's this douche. This businessman here, who is our supposed now new main villain and final boss of the game. And he's another QTE. Seriously, why do people like Far Cry 3 if we have boring stuff like this? I didn't even feel satisfied with it. Overall, no lame roster bosses that are just bland and forgettable. Just like the main villain. Trust me guys, Voss is better off being the better antagonist. Well, time to talk about Mega Man again, and it's from the X series. In my opinion, the villain battles in the X series are a really mixed bag. You'll get some cool ones like Dynamo and Vile, but then you'll just get some annoying ones like Bit, Violin, and my next choice on the list, Gate. Ugh, this fight. Gate was a alright villain to me. I mean, he did have his good motives and he was ready to face you. So I was expecting an epic fight. He wouldn't even be on this list if his fight wasn't this horrible. So, what's my problem? 1. You can't damage Gate. He'll just float around and send orbs at you. 2. Those orbs will break into different particles that can damage you. Yeah, and you gotta use them to damage Gate. Easier said than done when the orbs have different special effects that can immobilize you or even handicap you. 3. The arena. Look at this! This is not how you design a boss arena. What kind of a design is this? 4. Playing the waiting game. Yeah, Gate will only send out orbs when he feels like it. So basically this fight is a test of patience rather than a test of skill. And then we have the other issues with this boss. He can break the platforms as well, making this fight even more annoying and hard to dodge around. Seriously, this is not how you design a villain battle. This is one of the most irritating and annoying boss fights I've ever dealt with. And to make it even worse, he's not even the final boss. Nope, once you beat him, he brings Sigma back from the dead, and then you have to fight Sigma as the final boss. And Sigma's a total joke. So yeah, we get a lackluster finale to an already mediocre game. That's just sad. Now we're getting into the worst ones. The bosses that I really despise. And it's from one of my most hated games of all time. Halo 5 Guardians. And I don't care for this character. Warden Eternal sucks. His boss fights are the most annoying and despisable thing in this game. I hate him. What does he do? Well, he does have many attacks that are annoying and frustrating to dodge, like his eye beams, his sword, and a homing orb, which you gotta avoid. And killing this guy is tedious. He barely puts up a fight. Seriously, you're gonna have much more trouble with his minions because he loves having them by his side. And the worst part is that I mentioned fights. Yeah, fights. You do not fight this guy, not twice, not 3 times, but 7 times. He's basically the main boss of the game, 7 times. And his attack patterns don't change. Nothing changes. He has the same attacks, the same moves, basically like a boss rush from Mega Man. It's insulting. His final fight is the worst. 3 wardens chasing after you with fast attacks, and it's already annoying. And to make the final fight even worse, there is an exploit. Yeah, you can skip this fight by watching this footage, doing this move, and the game will act like you beat it. If I need an exploit to beat a boss, something's wrong. This fight sucks so much. It's one of the worst things I've ever fought in a video game. Oh man. Number 1 is the most insulting things in the world that I find it hard to believe that they managed to create this boss. You'll see soon enough. Okay. I'm just about ready. I don't know if I'm ready to do this, but I'm ready to do this. I'm ready. Come on. Bring it on. Nope. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm not getting out of this. Holy crap. This freaking boss. Seriously, PopCap and EA, what were you thinking? A pickle as a boss? Yeah, Plants vs. Zombies isn't noticeable for its boss fights, but the fact that they let something as insulting as this even qualifies. It's a freaking cucumber called Bitter Dill, one of the lamest, laziest, and stupidest things in the world. I hate it. It's an insult to even be considered a boss. Lazy design. Why are sponges more intimidating than this? Oh, but it gets worse. His attacks involve knocking you back. Why does his bubbles need to knock you back? Why does he spit out farts? Why does he create more farts? Why does this boss stink? This thing sucks. And then there's his gimmick. You have to pick up a mint that he drops for some reason, take it to an orange soda, lure him to the orange soda, and have it blow up in his face. But this boss also has the most busted AI in the world. You have to lure him to the sodas, but sometimes his AI refuses to go to the objective. Seriously, how broken is this boss? The fact that you need to restart yourself just to make the boss work is a huge insult. The music for this fight is terrible. It's one of the most grating and horrendous boss themes I've ever heard from a video game. It is stupid. This is an insult to a franchise that I really love. Battle for Neighborville sucks. This boss sucks. Everything about him, concept, design, laziness of his attacks, the music, his whole gimmick, everything about him is stupid. And besides, it is just a pickle. It's just a pickle. It's just a pickle. It's just a pickle. It's just a pickle.